Welcome back to my channel. I am excited for today's video. It is going to be my update in my project Level Up. It'll be my first update in this project. It is currently after 8 p.m. and I told myself I was gonna get up early today and film like 4 videos, and then the day just got away from me. I've been doing a lot of reading today, but I wanted to like play around with makeup. I have a video that I'm like prepping for the end of the year. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I'll spoil it like a little bit. I want to do as many makeup looks with as many palettes as I can throughout my collection, but not necessarily like just take that as it is. So I wanted to play around with makeup today, and I don't necessarily, my wings did not turn out how I wanted, so I had to clean up a lot with concealer. My skin is just so dry. I actually got burnt today and I'm so disappointed in myself. So the makeup is not looking superb, but I wanted to like at least film one video today. So we're gonna be filming my project Level Up update. I decided to start this project last month when I decided I was missing panning eyeshadow. I'm doing no pan left behind. I stopped doing pan those eyeshadows because it just wasn't working for me anymore, but then I was missing panning eyeshadow, and I was like, well, Project Level Up is also like no pan left behinding palette, so I want to try this. I just want to try it out. I did decide to roll in 2 palettes, one for level 1, one for level 2, just so I had 2 palettes to be working on at the same time, just because I get bored super easily. I will be rolling out my level 1 palette, which is super exciting. I am still working on level 2, but we will roll in a palette for level 3 today. So if you're excited for that, if you want to see my update, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project panning content or just chit-chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Alright guys, I'm sure you're not unfamiliar with this project, but if for some reason this is your first time catching a project Level Up, this project was created by Sophie Alexandra. I will have her link down below. I think there might be a playlist, and you can search the hashtag project Level Up. There are many other creators that are currently doing this project, so definitely check them out. So in order to level up, like level 1, you randomly generate a palette. And in level 1, you have to use every single shadow in that palette at least 1 time and hit 1 pan in that palette. Moving on to level 2, you have to use every shadow at least 2 times and hit a pan, or hit 2 pans, and so on and so forth. And many people go up to level 5. I am really excited. I did complete my level 1, which my level 1 palette was the NARS Orgasm Rising palette. And this was a new palette to me this year. And I'll be honest, you guys, the only reason I leveled up is because I had a little help by accidentally knocking this palette off of my desk, and it broke one of the shades. It didn't create a pan right away, but it severely like lowered the pan so that I just kind of focused in the area where the shadow had broken and hit a pan rather easily. So I ended up reaching for the NARS Orgasm Rising 15 times since rolling this into the project. I will post a picture on the screen. I'll scoot over a little bit, and I will post a picture on the screen up top in the corner of how this palette looked when I rolled this in, and then I will post a picture on the screen right here so you can see what the palette is looking like now. And you will see that I do have a pan in this shade right here. You guys, the NARS palettes, I don't know if you'll be able to see at all how freaking deep these pans are. This is definitely the deepest eyeshadow pan I feel like I've literally ever come across. And before knocking this off my desk, I thought my best opportunity to hit a pan was going to be in this shade right here, because I was seeing, you know, disturbance. That's literally all I was seeing. But honestly, thank goodness this fell off my desk, because even using this shade, which was my second thought, is I could use this as an inner corner highlight and potentially hit a pan. I don't know if that would have happened just looking at like how deep these pans are. So as I mentioned, I reached for this palette as a whole 15 times, and we can go shade for shade. So this first shade right here, I ended up reaching for 2 total times. The second shade in the palette right here, I ended up reaching for 4 total times. The shade that I ended up hitting a pan on, I ended up reaching for 9 total times. Again, I had a lot of help by it falling off my desk. This matte brown shade right here, I ended up reaching for 6 total times. I reached for this center shimmery red shade a total of 1 time. I reached for this shade right here 2 total times. I would read the shade names to you guys, but it would be me reading upside down. Well, I guess I could give it a go, although I never know like how these are actually, I never know if I'm actually saying the right shade name. Anyway, this shade right here, I believe is in the shade Push It, and I reached for Push It a total of 6 times. Fastest, does that say faster Pussycat? Oh my gosh. That's so inappropriate, but so hilarious. I ended up reaching for this shade 2 total times, and then the shade Galapagos, so different from Faster Pussycat. I ended up reaching for Galapagos 2 total times as well. So I ended up reaching for most of the shades over 1 time, and obviously I did hit a pan in this shadow. So this palette will be rolling out. I do have a random wheel with summer palettes on it, and I always want to be working on a seasonal palette, like seasonally relevant palette throughout this project, and then the other palette, it doesn't really matter. So my level 2 is going to be the Druid palette, which is not seasonally relevant. This was on my summer wheel. Because a summer palette is rolling out and we are still in summer, I will roll in a palette off of my summer wheel. But let's get into my level 2 palette. I rolled in the Fantasy Cosmetica Druid palette. This is what this palette looks like. This definitely gives me more autumnal or fall vibes, but it is a really, really beautiful palette. I ended up reaching for this only a total of 3 times. So I have not even reached for every single shade in this palette 1 time yet. But to run you guys through the uses, so the shade Root right here, I reached for 1 time. I think the way that I'm gonna end up hitting a pan in this palette is to either reach for Root or Old Growth as a liner, and I think that's my best bet of hitting a pan in this palette, or maybe the easiest or the quickest. But I reached for Root 1 total time. I have not yet reached for, it's kind of hard to read the shade names, Balance or Forest. I have not reached for either of these 2 yet. I did end up reaching for Bare Form a total of 1 time. Did not reach for Serenity, did not reach for Sage at all. I did reach for Transformation 1 time. I have not yet reached for Regrowth, and I reached for Old Growth 1 total time. So this palette did not get a lot of use. I have a lot of summer feeling palettes that I'm trying to use. I have new palettes that have come into my collection that I'm trying to use. I have my No Pan Left Behind palettes that I'm trying to use, and this one just kind of fell by the wayside because it does kind of scream fall to me. Although I will say I do really like this shade right here for this time of year, so hopefully I can get some more use out of this in the next month, and I don't push this palette out till like September or October. I obviously will continue to work on that, but this one will stay in. We are rolling my level 1 palette out, meaning that I'm going to pull up my wheel, my summer wheel, and we are going to randomly generate a level 3 palette, which makes me kind of nervous because that means I have to use every single shade in that palette 3 times, and I have to hit 3 pans. Maybe I didn't think this through, like doing this project. I'm a little worried. Okay, so here is my summer palette rotation wheel. And what are, my luck, we're going to get the Ice Cream Dream palette. Ooh. Oh boy. The Kaleidos Escape Pod. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go grab this. I will say there might be some shades I can use as a nail polish in that palette. So perhaps we'll be okay. I'm gonna go grab that palette and I'll be right back. All right, you guys, here is the Kaleidos Escape Pod. This is one of the OG colorful palettes to my collection. This is what this palette looks like. It is really beautiful. I love the Kaleidos formula, but it is really colorful, and there's a lot of matte colors in here, which makes me so nervous. I love that there's a cobalt blue in here though. I do feel like maybe my best shot of a pan would be in Starlight Sonata, which is this really beautiful champagne shade. I feel like that could make a really good inner corner highlight. Oh, but I have to hit 3 pans. Oh yeah. I'm curious too, like how deep these pans are, just because the packaging is so thick. Like I have no idea. But there's 12 shades within this palette, no pans yet. So I mean, my options are limitless. Let me see, like Cosmic Cabaret. Is that, ooh, that could maybe, that's really beautiful. Maybe that could make a really fun nail polish shade. I mean, there's some pretty shades in here. I just, I don't know how I'm gonna hit 3 pans of this, but that's the goal. That's the goal. I'm not gonna do a veto. I'm gonna have fun with this and just see what we can do. Maybe the shades, maybe this green shade we can use maybe as a nail polish. Maybe I do love a green, so I feel like that could be a pretty green too, even to carry us into the fall. I mean, there's some like, there's a matte brown that I could use, you know, as a liner. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But this is gonna be my level 3 palette, and that is gonna wrap it up for today's project level up update. Yeah, that's it, you guys. I would love to know if you are currently working on this project, or if you are working on something similar. Maybe you're doing panless eyeshadows. Would love to know the most recent eyeshadow pan you hit. Let a girl know in the comments below. I believe I'll have it linked down below. I think, or not linked, listed down below. I think I've hit 10 total eyeshadow pans this year, but I am doing a pan that palette. I'm working on the sultry palette, so a lot of my pans have come from that. But that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.